Let's get a little stock up. Stock up. I'm not even going to say
stock up. Stock up.
Yeah, let's get a little stock up for this one.
We're not going to stock down anybody. Hey, I do want to say really quickly, I listened all season to you Chiefs fans hate on the refs. How about now, though? Right? Like everybody's a Shepherds fan this morning. So I thought it was a flag, by the way. I know that's like a controversial thing apparently, but we'll go stock up on the officials for this one time only. But BJ, you have to start with the two-time Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes. And it's interesting. I mentioned to my wife in the fourth quarter, I was like, this has kind of been a quiet Mahomes game. At the time, he only had 125 yards passing. And she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I was like, well, he's averaging under 10 yards a completion at this point, which is not like Mahomes. That is not what we're used to. So if you glance at the box score after the game, you're like, oh man, he threw 3 touchdowns, and they were, every point mattered in this game, but he only threw for 182 yards, only 182 yards. But you have to give Mahomes credit, a beautifully executed game plan. I think what he did on the ground was as important as what he did with his arm in this game. The decision-making was flawless. 21 of 27 on the day. There was only one pass where I did the, what are you doing? Why'd you throw that? There was only one. So great day for him. I mean, deservedly the MVP. And you say it all the time. You've got me even saying it now. I mean, he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL. And I think it's safe to say, and I am a Tom Brady homer, have been. There's pictures of me as a teenager with a number 10 Michigan jersey on. I'm like an old school Brady guy. Mahomes is on that path, and that's not something I say lightly. He's like, we're to the point, BJ, where it's not like, oh, it's Brady, and then is it Manning? Is it Montana? Now it's like it's Brady, and then it's probably Mahomes. Yeah, and he's 27 years old, and that's not a thing people just say in the Kansas City area. That's the thing that everyone who watches football should be saying is this young man is on a path to exceed. I mean, think about this: to John Elway, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino. Like, we're saying that Patrick Mahomes could be better than those guys. Like, his career to date is better. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers,
27 years old,
have as many Super Bowl wins as Patrick Mahomes does. Think about that, man. Like, John Elway has as many Super Bowl wins as Patrick Mahomes does, and he's played for 5 fucking years. It's absolutely insane. Sorry, I should be dropping F-bombs on the KCSN podcast, but
I did a lot.
It's crazy. It really is. And I know we try to contextualize that. We try to tell people, like, hey, enjoy it while you can. Yeah, I don't know. You only got like at least 10 more years of this, so just have fun with it. Be cocky. You deserve it.
We got into our feels a little last night on the show too, where it's like, you know what? Just embrace the fact that everybody hates you now. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't take long. They were good for so long. Yeah. People look for reasons to tear you down. I mean, Patrick himself has done nothing. He's never taken a misstep. Has done nothing.
Right.
To get some of the animosity that's put towards him and his family, and they absolutely don't deserve it.
Right.
But you're successful. People love you when you're on the up, and then once you're there for any period of time, it didn't take long. Before people just want to root against them and pick them up.
You guys are the Yankees, so you're the Yankees. Yeah. You're the '90s Bulls. You're Alabama football, and it is what it is. Everybody. 20 years people hated the Patriots and didn't even, other than the cheating, no one really knew why they hated them. They just did, and I think the Chiefs are to that point now where you don't have a reason, it's just jealousy and anger. I saw it last night on Twitter. It was shocking for me was seeing it from active NFL players who it's that jealousy and the resent come out as, oh my God, I hate the Chiefs. And it's like, how can you hate Andy Reid? How can you hate Patrick Mahomes? Or how can you hate Chris Jones? Like, these are guys that everyone loves, so
Spags.
Again, enjoy.
They're likable.
Right.
Like, dude,
yes. Enjoy being the villain for a while.
Yeah. I think it's probably hard for Chiefs fans. It is for me, because I still inherently remember and can like tap into the feelings that we had during some of those brutal losses. And that it wasn't just that we didn't win Super Bowl since, Super Bowl 4, that had been a really long time. That had been 35 years since we had drafted a quarterback in the first round, or 32 years since we had drafted a quarterback who started and won a game for us. Like, there were some go back to Indy, go back to Lynn Elliott, all these games now we can talk about because we're on the other side of this. But we had so many brutal losses that kind of shaped us as fans that when we get into this position, it's like you want to let us enjoy this for just a few years before all of a sudden we're not the underdog, we're not the perennial playoff losers, and now all of a sudden we're the team that everybody hates. And it's such a quick turn. It's like, wait a second, you can't let us enjoy this a little bit. And now I'm just, for me personally, my change and how it's affecting me is just, you know what? Just embrace the fact that it is here. We are, to your point, Yankees. We are this. And I think another reason why Patrick Mahomes, I don't want to say it's so polarizing, but he's playing the game in such a different way that gets people to talk about football and watch football differently. You and I have talked about how now any college quarterback who escapes the pocket and throws plays on the run, it's all with Caleb Williams and different things like, oh, he's the next Patrick Mahomes because the way he's doing it. Whereas Tom Brady, it was methodical. He would just carve you up from the pocket, making smart decisions, throwing the ball all over the field accurately. Patrick Mahomes is doing it with such a color and a flair that I think that more than anything, and you combine the way he does it with all the highlight reels and throwing all the crazy passes, it just invites people that aren't 100% behind him to be annoyed at him because of all of the hype that sends around it. And he's on commercials all the time, and they're freaking funny.
Right.
And so there's a lot working against them in that way. But let's move on. I'm sure we'll mix in more Mahomes stories and talk here. The last thing I'll say is the other thing, Matt, because you and I, you more than me, but I spent a little bit of time around Patrick. I'm not going to pretend that it was more than it was, but he's a genuinely good dude and is easy to root for. And that's the part that gave me so much like clarity and so much like just appreciation for it, is that it's one thing if somebody's very, very good at a sport and you cover them and it's just like, wow, you're special talent. It's another thing if that person is just honestly like a genuinely just normal dude who just happens to be a phenomenal football player. Right. It doesn't seem to have changed or lost any bit of who he is now that he is being, to your point earlier, considered with the great, being in that conversation already at 27 with the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. We are very lucky in that he is a genuine, like good dude and normal dude as well.
And very humble, driven, humble, and a little dorky would probably be the three words I would use to describe Mahomes, based on my, how many ever years now, 6 or 7 years of interacting with him. So absolutely, he deserves everything that's happened for him, and he couldn't have him to a better person.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts, bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.